The science of Derby, the science of Derby. Let's learn something new.
Hi, and welcome to the Science of Derby. Today we are going to look at apex jumps. You know, those glorious things that bring you eternal fame or else ignominious shame for the rest of your career? Just kidding, it's not like that at all. They're actually quite straightforward to do, and everybody needs them. Jammers, blockers, pivots, everyone needs them. It's just something you can learn, put in your toolbox, and bring it out when you need it. Now, there are a lot of skaters out there, even skaters that have been skating for 10 years, and they're quite blocked on apex jumps, and that's totally okay. Don't worry about it. But I think it's something you want to know how to do, and we're going to break it down. We're going to use some science. We're going to use some simple drills, right from the very beginning of how to jump to how to be doing really cool tricks over those apexes and earning that eternal glory. Okay, let's get to it. Coaches, this is a practice you can run in about 30 minutes, and it can be really empowering for some skaters. It can change skaters' careers if they've been always blocked on apex jumps or they feel like they don't have the body type for jumping. That's baloney. Everyone can do this if they want. And in a very quick training, you can have your skaters hopping around like grasshoppers, feeling really good about themselves, and having some cool new moves to pull out during a game. So what exactly is an apex jump? Let's pretend this little string here is our track. An apex jump is when you start inbounds, you jump up into the air, and then you land inbounds. And the idea is that you kind of cut off this section of the track because you're actually flying through the air. So you have to start inbounds, you have to end inbounds. We're going to talk a little bit about the details of that later. Note, we actually don't really jump the actual apex of the track, the very top of the track. We usually jump just before the apex or just after the apex. Let's talk a little bit about the rules of apex jumps. There's not that many. First of all, you need to leave the ground inbounds in the track. If you skate out of the track before you jump, it's a no starter, probably going to get a cut. Don't do it. So you need to leave the track inbounds. The rules then kind of considers you are where you jump from while you're traveling through the air. So you're still inbounds through the air. And then when you land on the track, you want to land inbounds to make all your points. So most important point, landing, you want to land in the track, skate first. So if you land inbounds but on your knees, no points. If you land inside with the very toe of your skate, you get your points. If it's the side of your skate, you get your points. If it's the heel of your skate, you get the points. If it's the top of your skate first, you get the points. But it has to be one piece of your skate that lands inbounds first. Now, there's a couple other rules to keep in mind. You are not allowed to block players, not allowed to run into players while you're flying through the air. So this includes even if there's no apex jump involved, but you're coming up to a wall and you jump and you kind of land on the wall, that's not legal and you will go to the penalty box. So don't do that. That includes when you're doing an apex jump. Now, if you jump and a blocker moves to intercept you, they have initiated the block. So it's okay to make contact in that instant, and it's the blocker who's responsible for that block. So before we get hopping around, let's warm up just a little bit. Most people that are afraid of jumping and most problems that come with apex jumps have to do with not the jumping part, but the landing part. As somebody very wise said,
"'Cause a little bird told me that jumping is easy, that falling is fun, right up till you hit the sidewalk, shivering and stunned."
You know what I mean? So it's the landing that's the problem. So let's work a little bit on that, and we can start really easily just by doing figure eights with your hips. It's kind of a groovy, dancey move. But we want to be loose in the ankles, loose in the knees, loose in the hips, because this is our cushion, is this nice, soft hip movement. If you're really stiff in the hips, that's when you're going to land and fly backwards. Once you're feeling good about that, you can just have a few practices folding forward. So if you're ever frightened on a landing, think about collapsing, just collapsing your whole body and just falling forward. If you do a huge jump and you fall forward like that, you're going to be fine. So if you get all stiff and you start falling backwards, that you're going to hurt yourself and cause problems. Now let's start practicing these landings. And the easiest thing is to really visualize. We're not even going to leave the ground. You visualize that you're jumping and landing. So just practice that nice. It seems easy. It seems basic, but trust me. You want to really get your body ready to receive your weight after that big jump. Once you're feeling pretty confident with that, you can move on to starting on your toe stops. We're still on the ground, and just from your toe stops, coming down to the 4 wheels. Toe stops, 4 wheels. You can even do a teeny little mini hop. Toe stops, 4 wheels. Easy, right? Just get that in your body, and if you're a brand new skater or you're someone that's really struggling with jumps, take the time. There's no rush. You can take 5 minutes on this. We got hours to be jumping around. You got a lifetime to do apex jumps. So just make sure your body feels, so great. Can add a little bit more of a hop from your toe stop to this nice soft landing. Okay, great. And now, guess what? You can starting from 2 feet on the ground, all 8 wheels, just a little tiny hop. No big deal. Just a teensy little hop. And land nicely. You're already jumping. We're already on our way. And now you can add a little momentum. 2 feet to 2 feet. Don't think too hard about it. Just jump. So depending on your level of skating, or just if, jumps are something that's been blocking you, you can start all these warm-ups in sneakers. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Just go through the whole thing in sneakers, get used to jumping 2 feet to 2 feet, really kind of crumpling forward, keeping your hips nice and relaxed, going from the balls of your feet, jumping onto 2 feet. Feel really comfortable with jumping before you get rolling on skates. That's normal. Any new physical movement you learn, it's perfectly normal and good to do it slowly and just build yourself up. It's like anyone, even skilled dancers, if you teach them a dance they don't know, you teach them like swing dancing, they're going to try to figure it out until they finally slowly move into the movement, and that's totally normal and great. And just allow yourself, be humble enough to allow yourself to learn and take it slow. So even if you're an awesome skater and you know everything and you're the best in the world and you just don't know how to do apex jumps, it's okay to take 5 minutes in your sneakers and just practice jumping before you get on skates and make those really big, badass jumps. Okay, great. Now you're jumping more or less on spot or with a little bit of momentum. Maybe you've gone around the track and have started jumping around. The next step is to give yourself some very specific mental goals and timing goals. So the easiest thing to do is just choose a line somewhere and say you're going to jump over that line 2 feet to 2 feet. You can just skate around the track and jump over lines. It's super fun. Or you can give yourself a height goal if you want. Start nice and small. This is about building confidence and skill. So maybe I'll jump over this little cone here. I'd also invite you to try doing your jump and then adding something else afterwards. So maybe that's a transition right afterwards. Maybe that you're going to skate to the outside and do a hockey stop. Just do something after your jump. Doesn't really matter what it is, but get yourself into the habit of doing the next thing after your jump. So you're not only focusing that this jump is the biggest thing in the world and as soon as it's done, I'm done. No, we're still skating. We're still in a game. You have to do that next thing. You have to have your head up, your eyes open, and your brain aware of what's coming next. Awesome. So now you're able to jump 2 feet to 2 feet, over lines, over cones, do the next thing. This is great. Now we're going to start looking at jumping off of 1 foot. And this is really what we're doing in a game. It's pretty rare in a game that you do this kind of 2 foot to 2 foot jump. It can happen. Usually it's 1 foot. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. So we're going to do basically the same warm-up. I'm just going to visualize myself. I'm standing on 1 foot. I'm going to do this big jump. and crumple forward softly. I'm just going to land. You can try both feet. Just really imagining doing that jump and I'm landing. So my body's ready. Landing on one foot is no big deal. Or landing on 2 feet from a 1 foot jump, no big deal. So 1 foot to 2 feet, no big deal. All right, ready? Let's start on a toe stop on 1 foot. I'm balancing and I'm landing on 2 feet. I'm just doing a mini hop from my stopper, my toe stop to my 2 feet. No big deal, nice and easy. We crumple forward, no problem. And you know what's next. Actually, from 1 foot, all 4 wheels on the ground. Jump, land on 2 feet. Jump, land on 2 feet. Then, take it to the track. Same thing we did for 2 feet. Jump a few lines, jump a few cones, add the next thing, see how that looks. You'll never be able to guess what's coming up next. That's right, jumping from 1 foot to 1 foot. And it's really the same thing. You can just warm yourself up, warm your body up. I'm on 1 foot. I'm going to jump to 2 feet. Notice there's no real jump there. I'm just preparing myself. I'm being nice and soft in my hips. Jump. And just start feeling in your body. What does that feel like? To take all my weight on 1 foot. So all my weight's on this right foot. It's now all on the left foot. All my weight's on the left foot. It's all on the right foot. How does that feel? Same thing as before. You can start on a toe stop and go to your other foot. It's going to be a lot different. You're taking all your weight on one leg instead of two. How does that feel? How do you absorb that so there's not this really big slam? It's nice and cushy, nice and crumply, nice and soft. Great. And then take it to the track. Are you ready to have your mind completely blown? In fact, it's better than that. You will be liberated from the tyranny of fear and doubt that has been plaguing you for all these years. You're going to throw off the shackles of ignorance through the illumination of science with this 5-meter tape measure. That's right, we are going to measure things. We are going to apply them on the ground to our body, and you're going to see apex jumps in a whole new light. And you're going to send me chocolate and letters of congratulations for liberating you all. Okay, let's get to it. What we're going to do, we're going to take this tape measure. You can repeat this experiment. It's science, so it's repeatable. You can do it in your home league. You find the best jumper in your league or somebody that's willing to jump. Anyway, they're going to get the most speed possible. And they're just going to do the biggest possible, longest jump they can possibly do. And you're going to measure how long that big jump is. I'm a pretty good jumper. I'm pretty tall. I've got a lot of momentum. So my distance is pretty good. I'm sure there's some of you out there that can jump farther. If you can, let me know in the comments. That would be cool. All right, let's do this. All right, here's how this is going to work. We've got a nice line. We've got this beautiful tape measure. Doesn't need to be more than 5 meters. Very unlikely you're going to jump 5 whole meters, but we've got some distance to spare. I've pre-marked where I often jump. We're going to do this right here, right now. I'm going to set up this camera so you can witness this jump in action to make sure I'm not tricking you. But as I said, you can repeat this at home because it's science. I'm going to take the biggest, longest, fastest skate I can. I'm going to jump from the red line back there and see how far I can make it. I'm going to review that footage, but I've got a good feeling I was about at 3 meters, 25 centimeters, because I'm always at that distance. Great. That was super duper fun. See how far you can jump. It's pretty cool. You can jump any way you want. Just try to go as far as possible. I'm going to do one more test, which is a bit more realistic. In a game, I usually don't have a huge run-up. There's usually blockers around. I'm usually in the middle, of some other thing. I'm juking, I'm jerking, and then at the last second I do an apex jump. So I'm going to do one more test where I'm skating around, and at the last second I have to throw in an apex jump. But I'm still going to try to go as far as possible, just with a few moves in front of it. We're going to do the exact same thing and see what my average apex jump length is versus my maximal apex jump. We've got basically the same setup here, the same tape measure, the same red line over there. I'm just going to do a few moves in front of that red line and then try to jump as far as I can. I'm not going to be cheating to prove a point because this is going to be on the internet for all posterity. So I'm in a game. I've got some blockers. I'm going back. I see an opportunity. I'm going to come up. I'm going to do that. I'm going to try that one more time. Maybe I'm coming around the track really fast. I'm going to throw in a hockey stop and a juke and a run and a... jump. I think that was pretty realistic. And you can see me with my leg length. I'm about at 190 for my average jump. I'm about at 325 for my maximum jump. And what are we going to do with those measurements? You're going to see in just a second. So here's what we got. On the curve, I've got my tape measure set at 325. This is, remember, my maximal jump in the best ideal conditions that don't exist. This is my trajectory in a straight line, and I need to land inside the track. So we're going to take this maximal point here. It's going to be obviously about 162 here, and we're just going to see how far we're actually saving. So we're getting, I'm going to say, max 25 centimeters of the track cut off. So here's the average jump. I got my tape measure set at 190 inside the track, just barely inside, but for the sake of argument. That yellow tape measure is my jump trajectory, and I'm landing just barely inside that line. And so if we take the halfway point of 190, that's at about 95 centimeters here, this is giving me about, if we're very generous, 4 centimeters of the track cut off. Did you catch it? What was the point of all those measurements? Apex jumps are a lie. That's what I've been trying to tell you this whole time. Look at my average jump. 4 centimeters of the track shaven off. That's nothing. It's not even half a thigh. It's like not even a kneecap. All these years of fear and doubt and I can't do this, I'm not good enough, only jammers can jump. Ah, it's been a lie. Apex jumps are nothing. You just go through the air in a straight line. You don't even cut off any of the track. Even in the most ideal situation, when I have a huge speed and a huge run up and absolutely no one else on the track in my way, which happens all the time, right, jammers? No one in your way ever? I'm only getting 25 centimeters. It's not even my hip width, which is about 40. Forget it. However, we can use some really cool techniques to make these moves really work in your favor if you're the one doing the jumping. And we're going to look at them right now. Okay, before we get to some apex jumping drills and really start jumping over those corners, let's talk a little bit about what we're doing. Normally, we're going to be jumping on the inside of turn 1 and turn 3. You can also jump turn 2 and turn 4. You almost never jump the actual apex, the actual top. You can jump the straightaways, kind of, which I'll talk about later on. But almost always, you're going to be apex jumping the inside turn, usually on turn 1 or turn 3. When you come up to that, you want to lift your right leg up in the air. So the right leg's going to lead in the air. We're jumping from 1 foot to 1 foot most of the time. So we're going to jump off the right and land on the right. So I'm going to come up. My right leg's going to go up, and I land on the right. Right leg up, right leg land. So I'm jumping off my left leg. Some people like to do a 1 foot to a 2 foot jump, just totally fine. Personally, I always do 1 foot to 1 foot. I think 1 foot to 2 foot limits you and gives you a little bit more blocking area. So you may be asking, why do we lift this right leg up and land on the right leg when we're jumping on the inside turn? Why don't we use the left leg? I like the left leg. I'm better at jumping with the left leg. Well, remember, we've got like 4 centimeters or maximum 20 centimeters of kind of bonus space we're working with. So we need to maximize that and we need to add to it. If my hips are 40 centimeters, I actually want to take this bony structure and make it as small as possible and kind of cheat just a little bit to move from this width to this width as I'm going by. So I'm actually going to lift that right leg to try to scriggle myself around. Let's talk just a little bit about that second leg. So my right leg goes up, I'm going to land on my right leg. What do I do with this here left leg? As I said, you can land on 2 feet. But the kind of best thing to do is even to bring this around in front, or it can even land behind. But think about bringing that left leg in slow motion. So you're going right leg up, and the left leg goes. You don't have to stop it. You don't have to hold it in the air, do any tricks or anything like that, but just slow it down. Let me show you. I'm going to do my jump here. My left leg is slow. It's slow on the landing. And the reason is because I don't want it to land out of bounds. So I want to jump and bring it in nice and slow. Okay, let's get jumping. We know how to do it. We know we're going to lift our right leg up, slow down that left leg. We know the technique. The best way to get started on that inside turn 1, just put a few cones about 30 centimeters or a foot away from it and get jumping. Try it out. As that gets comfy, move the cones just a little bit closer and closer to the line. Maybe I'll put them 5 centimeters. And you want to already start thinking, I'm not jumping over the cones, I'm jumping around the cones, right? When you're ready, grab yourself a slightly larger, more painful object, like a chair, and put it close to the line. Now, large, painful objects can be scary, so you can start easy. You know, put it half a meter from the line, put it 2 feet from the line, and then just slowly bring it closer. It's more about fear and practice than about any actual physics going on here. When you start feeling really good, you can actually put that chair so that it's going a little bit over the line and protruding into your jumping space. And you can start to see how I'm sort of scriggling my hips in a circular motion around the chair. I'm not jumping over it, I'm jumping around it as though it was a blocker's hips. Let's see if I can show you that from a different angle. You've got a slightly more direct angle. I will try not to break my camera. I'm going to come up and jump around that chair. One more try. And so once you're feeling kind of comfortable with the biggest, weirdest object in your space and you're able to sort of get that feeling of scriggling around things, ask a friend to come. Have them stand, a foot from the line, 30 centimeters from the line, and slowly get closer till they're right on the line, and they can lean their hip over like those blockers are going to do during the game, and see how you can get around it. Now start slow. Give yourself lots of space at first. A human body is a whole different mental game than a chair. So just allow yourself the time to get used to jumping that teeny slice of track, that tiny movement, but just with the person there. It's no big deal. And in no time, you're going to have the confidence and skills just to whip this out in a game and get yourself some points. Now, I want to show you one more move that you can use, which is a little bit counter to what I said. Remember how we were talking about how you want to be lifting the right leg first to get around there? You can use the left leg, but if you lift that left leg, your hips are in the way, right? So in order to pass that blocker's hip that's right there with my left leg up, I'm going to need to rotate, which means I'm going to need to do a 180-degree turn in the air and land on that left foot. So if I'm lifting my left foot, I'm going to have to do a 180 and land on the left foot. Let me show you what that looks like. Now, that's a great move, and lots of jammers and skaters really master it, and you should definitely put it in your arsenal. But mid-game, when everything's going on and you need a quick apex jump, almost always, you're jumping with your right leg, landing on your right leg. So that's the one to really start practicing. Now, blockers. I want to address one thing right here, right now, okay? When a jammer is doing an apex jump, you can block them legally. Go for it. Please don't leave the track. There's a lot of blockers that will see an apex jump happening. They'll decide, no matter what, I'm going to block this. They skate out of the track, and they slam into that jammer in midair. This is so dangerous. It's illegal, so I hope you go to the penalty box if you do that. But it's super dangerous because the jammer can't do anything. They're in the air. You're gonna kill your teammate or your adversary or really injure them or hurt somebody or hurt yourself. Just don't do it. Play legally. Stay on the track. Put your hip over the line. Do your best. Stick that butt over the line. Do what you want. But do not skate out of the line. Thank you. On behalf of all jammers and all skaters everywhere. So I keep talking about once you jump, you're just moving in a straight line. Is that really true? Can I just kind of swoop off in a big curve around everyone to land on the track? No, you can't do that. That's not how physics work. Your center of mass is just going to move forward in a straight line once you've left the ground. Newton famously encapsulated this in some great calculus equations which simplify to force equals mass times acceleration. You might have heard of it. People say body in motion tends to stay in motion. Look at it, impulse momentum theory, however you want. But the fact of the matter is when you jump in the air, you're going to be moving in a straight line unless you have some wings and you can carve through the air, or maybe it's a really windy day. Sometimes we practice outside in Paris, so I guess it could be a windy day and you'd get a slight deviation in your trajectory. But generally, no. But you might be saying there is an important element of force. There's an important acceleration to take into consideration when you're jumping, and that's gravity. So if I'm going a certain velocity and I jump in the air, I'm flying in a straight line, my distance is really determined by my velocity and gravity. You can't fight it. If you want to go farther, you either have to jump higher, go faster, or move to a new planet where gravity is different. But, we all want to be like Idina Menzel. Who doesn't, right? And we want to defy gravity, and we want to do these huge apex jumps and fly through the air. But you know what? I think gravity gets a bad rap. If we had less gravity on this planet, there'd be no way you could get the speed you need to do a great jump. Everything would be kind of slow and floaty and weird, and you'd try to run on your toe stops, and it would be all bouncy. We love that gravity. I think whoever invented this planet had sports in mind. They're thinking, 9.81 meters per second squared. This is the best value. It's going to give the weight of the human body just the right force so they can dig into the ground and go super fast and hit really hard and jump really, really hard. And the more gravity we have, the higher we can push off the ground and dig into the ground and jump through the air and fly through the air. And yeah, you know what? Gravity is going to pull us back down, and we love it. We love you, Earth. Fight climate change. I mean, come on. This is a beautiful planet. We love it. We love gravity. 9.81. We love you. 9.81. 9.81. 9.81. We love you. Gravity. Gravity. We love gravity. So just learn to embrace it. Learn to love it. Learn to use it. Carve into the track. Push really hard. Smash into people. And fly through the air. And there we have it. That is apex jumps. They're not that hard, right? Anybody can get hopping around and jumping, and then you can use a little bit of science to prove to yourself exactly what's going on, how things work. Take that little experiment back to your league, see how far you can jump, and then apply it. Apply it on the track, apply it in games, and get yourself some points, get yourself out if you're caught in the back. Hope it was useful, hope it was fun. Coaches, I hope you can bring it back to your league and get your skaters hopping around like little grasshoppers. That's what we love to see. Until next time, keep the brains working, keep the science pumping, keep the derby hitting hard. Talk to you later.
The science of derby, the science of derby. Let's learn something new.
Keep the science flowing, keep those brains working, keep the bodies hitting hard, keep the sport flowing. Have a great day. See you next time. I've used up all my goodbye phrases. Peace. Ciao.